This is question 13 of the Edexcel Foundation maths paper, the calculator maths paper for June 2014. And in this question we've got a diagram of some flower beds, we've got some text, and we need to turn that into an equation, and then we need to solve that equation to work out how wide and how high each of these flower beds are. So in the description of this YouTube video there should be a link to both the original question and then 3 more similar questions for you to try and work through once you've understood how to do this. So we need to work out the length and the width of each of these flower beds. The question says that the total, I'm going to call this the width, the total width of the overall flower bed, or sorry, the garden is 23 metres and the overall height is 17 metres. And we want to try and find out this, I'm going to call that W for the width, so I'm going to say W here. And we also need to find out this distance here, which I'm going to call L for the length. So we've got some numbers, we've got a diagram, we're going to turn this into some equations and then solve those equations. So we know the total garden is 23 metres wide, and if we add up all of these distances going across, that should be equal to the total width of our garden. So we'll start with this 1 metre gap here. So we've got 1 metre from the edge, and then we've got W, whatever the width is of this flower bed, and then we've got 1 metre separating, and then we've got the same width again, because each of the flower beds are the same, it says so in the question. So we've got another width of a flower bed, and then we've got another metre that separates them, and then we've got another W, another width of the flower bed, and then we've got another metre that separates them, and then we've got the final flower bed, and then we've got 1 more metre until the end. So if we add up all of these together, we get 23. So we want a nice easy equation to try and solve. This is a bit messy at the moment, so let's collect up all of the numbers. So we've got 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1, that's 5 lots of 1. 5 times 1 is 5. And we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 W's, so 4 widths of our flower beds. So I'm going to say 5 plus 4 W's. 5 from the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 1 metre sections, and if we add them all up together we should get 23, which is the total width of our garden. Okay, we want to just get the letters on one side of the equation and the numbers on the other side of the equation, which means we've got to get rid of this 5. To get rid of that 5, what I want is to have 5 plus 4W minus 5, so that these will cancel with each other. But if I take away 5 from this side of the equation, I have to do the exact same thing to this side of the equation. So that will be 23 minus 5 here. So 23 minus 5 is 18, and 18 is 4W. So what I've done is I've just taken away 5 from this side and taken away 5 from this side. Then, to just get W on its own, remember you can do absolutely anything you like to one side of the equation, as long as you do exactly the same thing to the other side of the equal sign. So if I've got 4W, what I want is just W on its own. To do that I have to divide by 4. So if I divide this side by 4, that means I've got to divide this side by 4. So 18 divided by 4 is 4.5. You're allowed to use a calculator for this question, but if you weren't, you could do 18 divided by 2 and then divide by 2 again. Okay, so we know that the width is 4.5 metres. So that should roughly make sense. We have 4.5 metres, 4.5 metres, 4.5 metres, 4.5 metres. A metre in between them, that should add up to 23 metres. So let's try and work out what the length is. This is a bit easier. For our equation this time, we know that we've got 1 metre from the edge. We've got the length of the flower bed, which we've called L, and then we've got another metre on the end, and if we add all of those together, we should get 17 metres. So, like we did before, let's collect up the numbers together. So that's 1, 2, plus L equals 17. And I want the letters on one side of the equal sign, the numbers on the other. So that means I'm going to take away 2 here, so that I've just got L on its own, which means I'm going to have to take away 2 from here. So I've just got 17 minus 2, which is 15. And that's your answer. So L is the length of a flower bed, which is 15. So it doesn't actually matter if you'd called this the width instead of the length, or if you'd called this the length instead of the width, as in if you put these the other way around, you'd still get the marks because it doesn't specifically say which way round they are. That's okay. Once you've gone through this enough times to make sure that it makes sense, have a look at the link in the description of this YouTube video. This should be the original question and then 3 more questions to work through that use the same sorts of skills. If you spot a mistake or something, an easier way to do this, then please do leave a comment so that I can try and learn from it and do it a bit better next time. Thanks very much. Hope it's been useful.